Hello everybody, today's clock is this small Junghans Carriage clock. It was made in 1910 and it does have a rather nice peculiarity to it. So apart from the normal alarm complication, which I think each one of these clocks has, it also strikes the hours and half hours on a bell mounted below the case. So now I'll let you hear what it sounds like. This clock came all the way from Italy, because last year I visited Florence and a few towns around it, and I bought this clock from an antique store. I actually got a pretty good deal for it. The seller said that it wasn't working, and he was right. It wasn't working when I got it. So before buying it, I decided to check the vitals, so to say. And when I checked the balance wheel, I noticed that it was extremely stiff. And then a thought sprang on my mind. So I bought it for 30 euros, which, as I said before, is a very good price. And 5 days later, when I came back home, I prayed that my intuition was correct. I took my pair of pliers and I slightly unscrewed one of the screws from the balance wheel, and the clock started going again. After that, I only needed to do some minor regulations and some adjustments to the striking train, because the warning sequence was kind of messed up, so the clock would start striking on and on and on, 5 minutes to the hour. The case does have some damage to it. This front brass panel is not shiny anymore, same for the back door. The brass is a little bit corroded, and one of the glass panels has a very big crack in it, as you can see in there. And also this foot right here from the back is a little damaged. But it's okay with me, I don't really mind. And also, when I got the clock, it didn't have a key, so I bought this tiny key for it, along with some other clock parts. Since I mentioned those glass panels earlier, I might as well let you have a look at the movement from the sides. Here's the time side. And this right here is the strike side, though you can't really see anything. Here is a rear view of the clock. And this is the unbranded Junghans movement. It doesn't have the Junghans logo anywhere, and as you might have noticed, it has another trademark on the dial, which I guess it was a retailer's trademark, I don't know, because this is a typical Junghans construction, and it also says B10 right there, which is written in the same font as on the Junghans movements. So I guess this clock was made in the second half of the year 1910. So this is basically just a steel-plated 30-hour movement with time, strike and alarm. As you might see, there are 3 winding arbors. And sadly, the alarm isn't working anymore, because it does this. What? Please allow me. Wait. It works in here, right? Yeah. Okay, so I now realized that I have never used this key on that alarm arbor in there, so I need to get a bigger one. Hold on. Okay, so here we have a larger key, which is a tight fit on that arbor, and this is what happens when I try to wind the alarm mechanism in there. And keep in mind that this happens every time I try to wind it. It doesn't matter whether the alarm hand is on the correct hour or something like that. It always happens like this. Yeah, it does need some minor adjustments. Okay, and now to show you some last things before you'll see the clips which I recorded last year while I was working on this clock. There are two sets of pivot holes in there. That is the flywheel pivot hole. I don't really know why it's like that. It probably is the result of a design error or a design flaw, I don't know. This is a place where you should keep the key of the clock, but of course none of the keys which I found for it fit in there. I don't know what this thing is called. And also, here is the bell with the two hammers. Okay, so here's the movement inside the Junghans carriage clock. There are no markings anywhere on it, but I can tell it's a Junghans because of the typical time and strike movement layout, which is also used in my Junghans bracket clock or tall-shaped clock. It also has another Junghans feature, a Geneva stopwork mechanism for the alarm side. Something that I find quite unusual about this movement is the fact that it has a steel plate on the back and a brass plate on the front. I have never seen that in a clock before. And you can definitely tell that this movement has been worked on a few times. There's some kind of solder left in there near that pivot hole. I don't know what that is for, perhaps some kind of bushing has been installed. And there have been two sets of pivot holes drilled for the fly. I don't know whether that is factory made or if somebody made that at home. However, the movement runs great after that easy fix. And now I only need to give it a little cleaning and regulate it. So I put the dial back on and I think that I'm going to keep it in testing for a couple of days and then I'm going to reassemble it. Here's the place where this clock will stay from now on, along with its friends. And something interesting that I forgot to point out in the other recordings is the fact that this clock has been awarded the prize of the smallest striking clock in my collection. So yeah, I think that's about it for today. Thank you so much everyone for watching, and I'll see you around.